Our universe is really old, some 13.7 billion years old to be exact. Each time we gaze into space, we are looking at history by the time light arrives. Amazingly, the Hubble telescope can look back as far as 13 billion years. In an effort to explore our own solar system, we sent a probe into space called Voyager 1 some 42 years ago. It has been traveling at 38,000 miles per hour and covered 13 billion miles since it left Earth. Now that's impressive, until you realize that our Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light years across, and a Voyager 1 has traveled only 0.002 light years in 42 years. Now the universe is even bigger. The size of the observable universe is 93 billion light years across, and still growing. We think that there are 3 sextillion stars in the universe. That's 3 followed by 23 zeros. And when a massive star explodes, it forms a dense core called a neutron star. Its core is so dense that a teaspoon of material would weigh more than Mount Everest. Unfortunately, we know next to nothing about 95% of the universe, because the observable matter, like stars and planets, makes up only 5% of the universe. The other 95% of the universe is made up of dark energy and dark matter. Humanity has only been around for a fraction of the time of the universe. Even though there are 7+ billion people on our planet, we are made up of atoms, and atoms have 99.9% empty space. This means that if you remove the empty space, the entire human race would fit into the volume of a sugar cube. And yet we are complex. Just look at our DNA. If you unraveled all the DNA in one person, it would span 34 billion miles, or reach Pluto and back 6 times. The point is, in cosmological terms, we are really insignificant. And yet, here we are. The better question is, why are we here? The old Baltimore Catechism answered that: to know Him, to love Him, and to serve Him. Think of it. God made us out of His sheer goodness and wanted to share Himself. That is His love and His life with us. It's only in relation to God that we have any significance, because we are made in His image and likeness. The story of creation shows that we are the pinnacle of His creation, even more so than all the universe. Jesus' birth into creation and death to redeem us show that we are worth searching out and dying for. And yet, like feisty, rebellious ants, we look up and say, "I'll do it my way." What's God's response to our tiny ant rebellion? Psalm 2:4 says, "He who sits in the heavens laughs." Think of it. Adam first received life from God's very breath, and was formed by God's hands out of simple clay. If we are in God's hands, like clay in the hands of a potter, we can only become an object of beauty when we offer no resistance. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve had almost everything. They lacked only one thing: they were not God. Hence the fruit on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil looked mighty tasty. So the devil tempted Eve, saying, "You certainly will not die. No, God knows well that the moment that you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like gods who know what is good and what is evil." And every lie is a grain of truth, for Adam and Eve did not physically die, but spiritually died. Their eyes were opened, but only to shame and lust for each other. And after one bite, they were like gods, no longer discerning what is morally right and wrong, but deciding it. And thus began the tiny ant rebellion. Jesus then had to insert Himself into creation to show us a way back. In the desert, the devil repeats the temptations of Adam and Eve. The gospel shows us the temptations of humanity always fall into 3 categories: the flesh, like lust and gluttony, or the mind, pride and envy, or idolatrous love of things, like greed and power. Jesus refused to continue our ant rebellion by not taking a detour from the cross. St. John of the Cross said Christ conquered the devil with the same weapons he used against us, a virgin, a tree, and death. For we have a new virgin called Mary, who said yes to God's invitation to life. We have a new tree of knowledge, the wood of the cross. And reversing our spiritual death, Christ, the new Adam, has been raised from the dead. When we consider the grandness of the universe, the Catechism reminds us, God speaks to us through the visible creation. His insertion into creation, battle with the devil, and death on a cross speak to our significance in His eyes. Will we continue Adam and Eve's ant rebellion, or participate in Christ's victory and regain our significance? For St. Thomas Aquinas said, God is an artist, and the universe is His work of art.